Do you oftentimes find yourself saying yes to a lot of different situations? Whether that be friends, family, or just overall in general, you find it hard to say no? In this video, I'm going to go over why that is and how you can actually start to say no and feel comfortable about it. So let's just jump right into it. Yo, what's good everybody? It's your boy Noah back again with another video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video. Today's going to be a very special one today because this actually relates a lot to me. And this is something that I have a lot of experience in, so I feel like I will be able to give you guys very helpful tips and tricks, as well as tools to be able to start saying no in certain situations and just overall developing boundaries, because this is something that I have struggled with throughout most of my life, up until about a year and a half ago. There was just always a need for me to say yes to people, And I think you guys can relate to me if you find yourself saying yes to certain situations that you don't really want to do, This is called a lack of boundaries, right? Sometimes, a lot of the times we tend to lack boundaries and it's hard for us to say no because we want to please somebody else. And before I get into how you can start saying no, I want to kind of talk about why it is that you say yes a lot, because this is something that I relate to heavily. My mother, she is a people pleaser. So she will say yes to certain things that she doesn't really want to do, even if she doesn't want to do it because she wants to make the other person feel good. And this trait was passed down onto me. A lot of the times we actually take on a lot of our parents' belief systems as well as our parents' mannerisms. So a lot of the things that we do are based from our parents, And so one of the traits that I had for a long time was being a nice guy. Now what do I mean by being a nice guy? I wasn't someone who was just, nice, right? I'm a nice person. But nice guys, when I talk about nice guys, I talk about, people pleasers. I talk about pushovers, people who are afraid to say no because they don't want to upset somebody else. Now, this is somebody who I was for 18 years of my life, 19. It was till I realized that this is what I was doing. That was when I was ultimately able to take my power back. This is the key to, the problem. 90% of the solution to the problem is awareness, right? Being aware of this problem, being aware that you have trouble saying no, right? And it's okay if you do, right? This is normal, this is natural, especially if our parents, if this belief system or this mannerism came from our parents, right? We kind of absorbed it from our parents. And so what I want you to do first is really ask yourself, do you find yourself saying yes a lot? And do you often find it hard for you to say no? You see, when we're aware of us being people pleasers, it is easy for us to be able to say, okay, what is it that I enjoy doing and what is it that I don't enjoy doing? And then we can start to, change the way we think and change the way of how we view certain situations. You see, I was a people pleaser because I didn't value myself. It comes from a lack of self-worth. And, that lack of self-worth was passed down onto me from my parents, And, I'm not saying that it's not my fault. Obviously, it was my fault. I didn't view myself as worthy enough to say no, and that's where the problem stems from. Right? Because when we realize that our time is valuable and that we're very, our time is precious, then it is easy for us to start to create boundaries and start to develop kind of the things that we want and what we don't want in life. And so one of the things that I can say that has helped me along my journey is realizing that my people-pleasing tendencies, right, were based on a level of self-worth that I had around myself. It was how I viewed myself. Right? I didn't view myself as worthy of being successful. I didn't view myself as worthy of having love, worthy of having true love. I was insecure. I didn't value my time at all. I valued my time so little that I would say yes to pretty much everything that somebody would say to me, even if it was something that I didn't want to do. And I'm not saying to always say no, or that this is a permission slip for you to say no to your parents all the time. That's not what I'm saying, right? I think it's important for us to listen to our parents. But at the same time, right, in terms of friendships, in terms of people wanting us to do certain things, I think it's important for us to develop boundaries. And how we develop boundaries is realizing that we are already worthy, whole, and complete just the way we are. And when we realize this, we understand that our time is valuable. And when we start to understand that our time is valuable, it's easy for us to want to say no, because we understand that this isn't necessarily something that we want to do, right? So it comes down to valuing your time, right? Valuing yourself, right? But when we value ourselves, we start to value our time, and we start to value the things in life that we actually enjoy. So let me ask you this again. What are some of the things that you enjoy doing? Right? If people are asking you to go out whenever you don't want to, right, it's not only doing a disservice to you because you don't want to do it, but it's also doing a disservice to them because you're actually lying to them. And so because you're lying to them, saying that you want to do something that you actually don't want to do, it's a lose-lose for both of you, right? Because they don't actually know that you don't want to do it because you're saying that you do, but you actually don't want to be there and you're just uncomfortable the whole time. Right? And this was me, right? This was me, that I was that person who didn't value my time. And so I'd always say yes to my friends, no matter if it was something that I didn't want to do or if it was something that was taking up too much of my time. You see, and so when we understand how valuable our time is, then it's easy for us to say no. I want to talk about a story that I had. This was one of the first times that I felt very empowered by saying no. I used to work a 9-to-5 job at Lime, Fresh Mexican Grill. It was a local, it's a local diner food. It was a local restaurant at a mall. And I found that, there was people, right? Because this is during the time where I gained a lot of self-confidence within myself. So people started to see me as confident, and so people wanted to hang out with me a lot of the time, right? My energy was magnetic to people. There was one certain time where I was with my really good friend who I'm with now. Shout out to you, Daniel, if you're watching this video. But yes, he used to work with me at Lime. Me and him were like really chill. We always used to hang out. But one time we pulled up on our off shift to Lime, that restaurant. And, because we were hanging out and we were just hanging out like the whole day. And we were hungry. We wanted to get some food. And so we ended up going to Lime, which is where I worked. Because me and him were both off that day. So we kind of scheduled it around a day that we were both off. We go to get some food there. And there's a couple of other of my coworkers who I'm hanging out with, occasionally, right? But Daniel's pretty much the only one who I still have as a friend, who I'd still consider a friend from that restaurant. Granted, we were there, we ordered food, right? we ordered food, and then afterwards there was a couple of people who wanted to go bowling. Mind you, my bedtime is usually, I like to go to sleep around 9 or 10, ideally, right? Sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's a little bit later than that, but ideally, I like to go to bed around 9 or 10. It was around 8 o'clock at that time. So I'm like, you know, after this, then I was just planning on going to bed. They invited me to go to this bowling alley that was 30 minutes away from where we were, you know, and they really wanted me to go. They invited me. You know, granted, I had in mind that my bedtime was, you know, 9 or 10. And so I said no. I was like, no, thank you. I don't really want to go. And they're like, come on, like, why don't you want to? And I'm like, cause it's getting pretty late and I just don't feel like it. In that moment, I realized how valuable my time was. And I realized that how much power that it gave me. You know, I felt so powerful just by saying no that one time. You know, and so I think it's important to really value your time and value kind of some of the people who you're hanging around, right? If you don't want to hang out with certain people, you don't have to. You can just say no. You know, granted, you have to understand how valuable you are. You know, you're already worthy, whole, and complete. You don't need anybody else, right? And so when we start valuing ourselves, then that's when we can start valuing our time. And that's when we stop saying yes all of the time and we can start saying no, right? And it's coming out of a place of love, right? You love yourself, so you love your time, you know, and because you love your time, you love that person and you're honest with them, right? Love is about honesty. And so with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. It's actually pretty hot outside, you know, I'm sweating for the first time in a video, so if you couldn't already tell with my shiny head. But thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns for future videos that you want me to do, feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. I really appreciate each and every one of you who have been supporting me for the past couple of years that I've been making YouTube videos. It's actually almost going to be 2 years in August, so that's insane. Or September, I think. But yes, my social medias are all going to be right here. With that being said, my friends, have a wonderful afternoon, morning, or night, wherever you're at. And peace, love, and happiness, my friends. Mwah.